There are moments in life when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear. When the storms rage so fiercely, you wonder if you'll ever see the light again. You've been there, haven't you? Sitting alone with your thoughts, feeling like the walls are closing in, questioning if anyone sees, if anyone hears, if anyone cares. The struggle feels endless, the pain relentless, and hope feels like a distant memory. But let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped to wonder, in the midst of your darkest hour, if the battle isn't yours to fight alone? What if the very struggles that threaten to break you are the same ones designed to lead you to a greater power? What if the burden you're carrying isn't meant to be carried by you at all? You see, there's something bigger than your pain, bigger than your fears, bigger than the struggles that keep you awake at night. There's a power so vast, so infinite, that it can take what's breaking you and use it to build you. But here's the catch: you have to be willing to let go, to surrender, to place it all in God's hands. Don't leave now, don't turn away from this moment. What you're about to hear isn't just a message, it's a lifeline. A reminder that no matter how heavy your burdens feel, you don't have to carry them alone. Stay with me, because by the time we're done, you'll understand that God isn't just with you, He's bigger than your struggles. Picture this: you're standing in the middle of a raging storm. The wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and the waves are crashing all around you. You're trying to stay upright, but every step feels impossible. Your strength is fading, your resolve is weakening, and deep down you're wondering how much longer you can hold on. Now imagine this: right as you're about to collapse, a hand reaches out. Strong, steady, unshakable. It doesn't just pull you out of the storm, it carries you above it. Suddenly the chaos doesn't seem so overwhelming. The fear doesn't have the same grip. And the storm that once felt endless begins to fade into the background. Why? Because the one holding you is bigger than the storm. That's how God works. He doesn't promise a life without storms, but He promises to be bigger than them. The struggles you face aren't a sign that you're forgotten. They're an invitation to trust, to surrender, to lean into a power greater than yourself. But here's the thing: you have to make a choice. You can keep fighting on your own, or you can place it in God's hands. Right now, you might be carrying more than you were ever meant to bear. And that's okay, because you don't have to carry it alone. The question is, are you willing to let go? To trust that God's strength is greater than your weakness, His peace is deeper than your anxiety, His plan is better than anything you could imagine? Stay with me, because in the next few moments, we're going to unpack what it means to let God be bigger than your struggles and how that choice can change your life. Think about this: the very struggles that caught you off guard, that blindsided you and left you feeling helpless, were not a surprise to God. Before you even faced them, He knew they were coming. He saw the storm before it formed. He heard the thunder before it rumbled. He watched as the pieces of your challenge began to come together. And through it all, He was already preparing a way for you to overcome. You see, God's perspective is not limited by time or circumstances. While we see life as a series of unpredictable events, He sees the entire picture: the beginning, the middle, and the end. That struggle you're facing right now, no matter how impossible it seems, is already something He's accounted for in His plan for your life. You didn't stumble into this by accident. And while it may feel overwhelming to you, God is never overwhelmed. Here's what's important to understand: just because God isn't surprised by your struggles doesn't mean He caused them. Life is filled with challenges because we live in an imperfect world. But God, in His infinite wisdom and love, uses those struggles to shape us, to grow us, and to remind us of His power and presence. He doesn't let anything happen in your life without a purpose. Even the pain you're experiencing can be turned into something meaningful if you place it in His hands. Your struggles don't surprise God, because He knows you better than you know yourself. He knows your strengths, your weaknesses, and exactly what you can handle. And here's the truth: if you're in the middle of a storm is just God knows you're strong enough to make it through with His help. He has equipped you with the tools you need, even if you don't see them yet. Have you ever wondered why some people's struggles seem so different from yours? Why the challenges you face feel uniquely difficult? It's because your journey is unique. God has designed your life in a way that prepares you for the purpose He's called you to. And the struggles you're going through right now are part of that preparation. They're not random. They're not meaningless. They're a part of the story God is writing for you. But here's the key. You have to trust that God knows what He's doing. When life feels chaotic, it's easy to question, to doubt, to wonder if He's really in control. But just because you can't see the plan doesn't mean there isn't one. God is always working, even in the moments when you feel abandoned. His presence is constant, and His purpose is unshakable. Think about the times in your life when you faced struggles before. At the moment, they probably felt like the end of the world. But now, looking back, you can see how those moments shaped you. They taught you lessons, built your character, and strengthened your faith. That's not by accident. It's evidence of a God who is always in control, even when it doesn't feel like it. Your struggles don't surprise God, and they don't define you. They're a part of your journey, but they're not the destination. God's plan for your life is bigger than the challenges you face. He sees beyond the struggle to the victory on the other side. And while you may feel stuck in the middle right now, God is already working to bring you through it. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the towering peaks above you. From where you're standing, the path ahead looks impossible. The trail is steep, the rocks are sharp, and you can't see what lies beyond the next bend. That's how life feels sometimes, doesn't it? The challenges in front of you seem insurmountable, and the way forward feels unclear. But what if you could see the mountain from above? What if you had a bird's eye view that showed the entire path, the obstacles, the shortcuts, the destination? That's exactly how God sees your life. While you're focused on the immediate, God sees the eternal. He's not limited by the narrow perspective we have. He sees the end from the beginning. He sees how every challenge, every struggle, and every heartbreak fits into a larger story. And because He sees what you can't see, He knows exactly how to guide you through it. This is where trust comes in. It's hard to let go of control, especially when life feels uncertain. But trusting God means recognizing that His perspective is infinitely greater than yours. He knows what's waiting on the other side of your struggle, and He knows how to get you there. The question is, are you willing to trust Him even when you can't see the full picture? God sees not only the challenges you're facing, but also the opportunities they create. What looks like a dead end to you is often a doorway to something greater. What feels like a setback is often a setup for a breakthrough. God sees potential in your pain, purpose in your problems, and victory in your valley. But to experience it, you have to let go of your limited perspective and trust His vision. Think about the story of Joseph in the Bible. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit, Joseph's life seemed to be one struggle after another. From his perspective, it must have felt like everything was falling apart. But God saw what Joseph couldn't see. He saw a future where Joseph would rise to a position of power, saving countless lives during a famine. Every step of Joseph's journey, no matter how difficult, was part of a plan that Joseph couldn't see at the time. That's how God works in your life too. He's not just focused on the present moment, He's orchestrating every detail to lead you toward His purpose for you. And while it may not make sense now, there will come a day when you'll look back and see how every struggle was part of the plan. God also sees the dangers you can't see. Sometimes He closes doors, removes people, or redirects your path to protect you from something you don't even know is there. At the moment, it may feel like rejection, failure, or loss, but in hindsight, you'll realize it was protection. God's vision is perfect, and His guidance is always for your good. What's remarkable is that even in your confusion, God never wavers. While you're wrestling with doubt and fear, He's steady, unchanging, and completely in control. He sees the full picture, and he's not intimidated by the obstacles that seem so overwhelming to you. His power is greater than your problems, and his perspective is clearer than your confusion. When you place your trust in God, you're not just trusting his power, you're trusting his vision. You're acknowledging that he sees what you can't see and that his plan is better than anything you could create on your own. And as you walk this journey, step by step, you'll begin to see glimpses of what he's been orchestrating all along. God sees the victory waiting on the other side of your struggle. He sees the growth, the strength, and the wisdom you'll gain through it. And while you may not understand the path you're on, you can trust that he's guiding you towards something greater. Let go of what you can't see and trust the one who sees it all. Pause for a moment and consider this truth. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, who hung the stars in the sky and told the seas where to stop, is the same God who is with you in your struggles. His power has no limit. He's not bound by time, space, or circumstances. And that includes the challenges you're facing right now. The obstacles that feel insurmountable to you are nothing in the face of God's infinite power. Often, when we're in the middle of our struggles, we forget who God really is. We allow the size of our problems to overshadow the greatness of our Creator. But think about this: the God who parted the Red Sea, who made blind eyes see, and who raised the dead isn't overwhelmed by your challenges. He's not intimidated by your fears or constrained by the impossibilities in your life. His power is greater than any storm, stronger than any chain, and more steadfast than any fear. But here's where many people get stuck. They know God is powerful, but they doubt that power is available to them. They think God is too busy, too distant, or too disinterested in their problems. Let me tell you right now, that's a lie. God's power is not just available to you, it's waiting for you. He's ready to step into your situation, to move mountains on your behalf, and to show you that nothing is too hard for him. The key is recognizing that you can't face life's challenges in your own strength. Too often we try to handle everything ourselves, thinking we have to figure it all out, fight every battle, and carry every burden. But that's not what God wants for you. His power is made perfect in your weakness. When you let go and place your struggles in his hands, you create space for him to move in ways you never could on your own. Think about the miracles in the Bible. Over and over again, God demonstrated his power in situations that seemed hopeless. David faced a giant with nothing but a sling and a stone, and God's power turned that small effort into a great victory. The Israelites stood trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea, but God's power made a way where there was no way. Jesus stood at the tomb of Lazarus, and with 3 words, "Lazarus, come forth," he brought life to what was dead. That same power is at work in your life. The struggles you're facing may feel like giants, like impossible seas, or like dead ends, but God's power is greater. When you invite him into your situation, you're not just asking for help, you're unleashing the power of the creator of the universe. And when God moves, things change. Doors open, chains break, and miracles happen. Here's the beautiful part. God's power isn't just about fixing your problems, it's about transforming you in the process. He doesn't just want to remove the struggle, he wants to use it to build your faith, strengthen your character, and draw you closer to him. His power isn't just about what he can do for you, it's about what he can do in you and through you. So what are you facing right now? What feels impossible? What's weighing you down? Whatever it is, it's not too big for God. His power is limitless, his love is endless, and his presence is unshakable. You don't have to fight this battle alone. Place it in his hands and watch what happens when the unlimited power of God meets the struggles of your life. Struggles have a way of breaking us down, don't they? They strip away our comfort, our confidence, and sometimes even our sense of purpose. But what if the very things that feel like they're breaking you are actually shaping you into who you're meant to be? That's exactly how God works. He doesn't waste your pain. He uses it to refine you, to grow you, and to prepare you for the purpose he's placed on your life. Consider this: gold is only pure after it's been refined by fire. Diamonds are only formed under immense pressure, and strong trees only grow deep roots when they face fierce winds. The same is true for you. The struggles you're going through are not meaningless, they're a part of the process. God is using them to mold you, to strengthen you, and to equip you for what's ahead. When you're in the middle of a struggle, it's hard to see the purpose. Pain has a way of clouding our vision, but God sees the bigger picture. He knows what He's doing. He knows the qualities He's building in you, qualities like patience, perseverance, and faith. He knows that the challenges you're facing today are preparing you for the opportunities of tomorrow. One of the ways God uses struggles to shape us is by drawing us closer to Him. Let's be honest, when life is easy, it's easy to forget our need for God. But struggles have a way of reminding us of our dependence on Him. They bring us to our knees, not in defeat, but in surrender. And in that place of surrender, we discover His strength, His peace, and His presence in ways we never could have otherwise. Struggles also reveal what's inside us. They bring out the best and the worst, shining a light on our strengths and exposing the areas where we still need growth. And while that process can be uncomfortable, it's also necessary. God loves you too much to leave you as you are. He's shaping you into the person you were created to be. And that process requires growth, and growth requires struggle. Think about the stories of people who have achieved great things. Almost without exception, their journeys include seasons of struggle. It's in those seasons that they learned the lessons, gained the wisdom, and developed the strength they needed to fulfill their purpose. Your journey is no different. The struggles you're facing are not there to defeat you, they're there to prepare you. God also uses struggles to make you relatable. Your pain, your trials, and your victories become part of your testimony, a testimony that can inspire and encourage others. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with authenticity. And when you share how God has brought you through your struggles, you become a beacon of hope for those still in the storm. Struggles may not feel good, but they are good for you. They push you out of your comfort zone, challenge you to grow, and deepen your relationship with God. They remind you that you are not in control. And that's a good thing, because when you surrender control to God, you allow Him to work in ways you never could on your own. So the next time you're facing a struggle, remember this is not the end of your story. It's part of the process. God is using it to shape you, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for the next chapter. Trust Him in the process, because He's shaping you into someone greater than you ever thought possible. Imagine standing in front of an enormous mountain, one so steep and treacherous that climbing it seems impossible. Now picture trying to climb it with no tools, no guide, and no map. That's what life feels like when we face certain battles on our own. These battles are too big, too overwhelming, and too complex for us to handle in our limited strength. But here's the good news: you were never meant to fight them alone. God fights the battles you can't win, and His victories are always assured. There are battles in your life that require more than human effort, situations where logic fails, strength runs out, and resources fall short. It could be a relationship that's breaking apart, a financial crisis that feels like a dead end, or a deep emotional wound that no one seems to understand. Whatever the battle is, God steps into those spaces and says, "This is mine to fight." The Bible is filled with examples of God fighting battles for His people. Think about David standing before Goliath. David didn't defeat the giant because he was stronger or more skilled. He defeated Goliath because he placed the battle in God's hands. He declared, "The battle is the Lord's," and trusted God to deliver the victory. That's the same God who stands ready to fight for you. God's ability to fight your battles doesn't mean you'll never face difficulties. It means you don't have to face them alone. He fights with power that goes beyond human comprehension. When you're at your weakest, God is at His strongest. He doesn't just fight for you, He fights alongside you, equipping you with strength, courage, and peace to endure the challenges. The battles you can't win alone are often the ones that teach you the most about who God is. They reveal His faithfulness, His sovereignty, and His deep love for you. They remind you that while life is unpredictable, God is unchanging. When you surrender your battles to Him, you're not giving up, you're stepping into divine alignment, allowing His power to work through your struggles. But here's the challenge. Letting God fight your battles requires trust. It means letting go of the need to control every outcome and believing that God's plan is better than yours. It's not always easy, especially when the battle feels personal or urgent. But every time you release a situation into God's hands, you're acknowledging His authority over your life and inviting Him to do what only He can. When God fights for you, the results are always greater than anything you could achieve on your own. He doesn't just resolve problems, He transforms them. He doesn't just remove obstacles, He uses them to strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of His grace. And in every victory, He reminds you of who He is, a God who is faithful, powerful, and deeply invested in your life. The battles you're facing right now may feel impossible, but they're not impossible for God. He's never lost a battle, and He never will. When you place your struggles in His hands, you're not just asking for help, you're declaring your trust in the one who has already secured the victory. Anxiety is a heavy weight to carry. It creeps into your mind, keeps you awake at night, and steals the joy from your days. It convinces you that you're alone, that things will never get better, and that the weight of the world rests solely on your shoulders. But here's the truth. God's peace is greater than your anxiety, and it's available to you in every moment, no matter how chaotic life feels. God's peace isn't like the temporary relief the world offers. It's not found in distractions, quick fixes, or empty promises. His peace is profound, unshakable, and rooted in His very nature. It's the kind of peace that doesn't make sense to the human mind, a peace that surpasses all understanding. It doesn't depend on circumstances or outcomes. It exists in the middle of the storm, in the heart of the chaos, and in the depths of uncertainty. One of the most powerful examples of God's peace is found in the story of Jesus calming the storm. The disciples were terrified, convinced they were about to perish as the waves crashed around them. But Jesus, calm and unshaken, stood up and said, "Peace, be still." In an instant, the storm ceased and the waters became calm. That's the kind of peace God offers you, the kind that silences the storms within your soul. Anxiety often arises from the need for control. We want to know the answers, predict the future, and guarantee outcomes. But the truth is, control is an illusion. The more we try to grasp it, the more anxious we become. God's peace invites you to let go of control and trust Him completely. It reminds you that while you may not know what the future holds, you can trust the one who holds the future. God's peace is also an anchor. When life feels like it's spinning out of control, His peace grounds you. It steadies your heart, calms your mind, and reminds you that you are not alone. It's a peace that whispers, "I've got you," even when everything around you feels uncertain. The beauty of God's peace is that it's not something you have to earn. It's a gift freely given to those who seek Him. When you come to God with your worries, your fears, and your doubts, He doesn't turn you away. He welcomes you with open arms and replaces your anxiety with His peace. The act of surrendering your worries to Him is an act of faith. And in return, He fills your heart with a peace that cannot be shaken. Living in God's peace doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. It means you'll face them differently. Instead of being consumed by fear, you'll be filled with trust. Instead of being overwhelmed by uncertainty, you'll be anchored in His promises. And instead of carrying the weight of anxiety, you'll experience the freedom that comes from knowing God is in control. When you feel anxiety creeping in, remember this: God's peace is always within reach. It's not dependent on your circumstances or your ability to fix things. It's rooted in His character, His promises, and His love for you. No matter how heavy the burden feels, God's peace is greater. All you have to do is place your trust in Him, and He will meet you in the midst of your struggle with a peace that surpasses all understanding. Waiting is one of the hardest things to do, isn't it? Especially when it feels like your prayers are met with silence, and the clock keeps ticking while your situation doesn't seem to change. You've probably asked yourself, why hasn't it happened yet? Why is God taking so long? But here's the truth that brings peace in the midst of that waiting. God's timing is perfect. Think about this for a moment. God exists outside of time. What feels like a delay to you is not a delay to Him. He sees the end from the beginning and knows exactly when and how everything should happen in your life. His perspective is eternal, while ours is limited to here and now. This difference in perspective is why waiting feels so frustrating to us, but is completely purposeful to Him. God's timing is never about withholding blessings from you. It's about aligning those blessings with His perfect plan. Sometimes the delay isn't about the situation, it's about preparation. There are lessons you need to learn, character traits you need to develop, and experiences you need to walk through before you're ready to receive what He has for you. What good is a blessing if you're not equipped to handle it? What benefit is a breakthrough if your foundation isn't strong enough to sustain it? Think about the story of Joseph. He was given a dream of greatness at a young age, but it took years filled with betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before that dream was fulfilled. From Joseph's perspective, it must have felt like God was taking too long. But from God's perspective, every step of Joseph's journey was necessary to prepare him for the role of leadership he would eventually step into. Had Joseph reached that position any earlier, he wouldn't have been ready. God's timing wasn't just good, it was perfect. Another reason for God's timing is that He often works behind the scenes in ways we cannot see. While you're waiting, He's orchestrating events, preparing people, and aligning circumstances to bring His plan into fruition. You may not see the movement, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. The waiting isn't wasted, it's purposeful. It's God setting the stage for something greater than you can imagine. Waiting also tests and strengthens your faith. It pushes you to trust in God's promises, even when they don't seem to be coming to pass. It refines your patience and deepens your reliance on Him. In the waiting, you learn to let go of your own timeline and surrender to His. And while it's not easy, it's always worth it. Because when God's timing is revealed, it brings not only the blessing, but also the peace and confidence that it happened exactly when it was meant to. God's timing is also about protection. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually God shielding you from something you're not ready for, or something that isn't good for you. You may feel frustrated by the closed doors or missed opportunities, but in hindsight, you'll see how God was protecting you from harm and leading you towards something better. Remember, God's timing doesn't just align with your needs, it aligns with His purpose for your life. Every delay, every not yet is part of a divine plan that is bigger than your immediate desires. When you trust His timing, you're acknowledging that His plan is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense to you. And when the breakthrough finally comes, you'll see that it was worth the wait. It's hard to see a setback as anything other than a failure when you're in the middle of it. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the dream that fell apart, they all feel like doors slamming shut, leaving you stranded and questioning what went wrong. But here's the incredible truth with God: a setback is never the end of the story. In His hands, what looks like a failure becomes a setup for something far greater. One of the most profound examples of this is found in the life of Moses. After killing an Egyptian, Moses fled into the wilderness, leaving behind the life he had known and the calling he thought he had. For 40 years, it looked like his story was over. But God used that time of obscurity, that apparent setback, to prepare Moses for his greatest assignment, leading the Israelites out of slavery. What looked like the end was actually a setup for a divine mission. Your setbacks might feel like a punishment or a mistake, but in God's hands, they become part of your preparation. The job you didn't get could be redirecting you to something better. The relationship that ended could be clearing the way for one that aligns with God's purpose for your life. The failure you experienced could be teaching you resilience and refining your character. God doesn't waste anything, not even your mistakes. Setbacks also serve to humble us and remind us of our dependence on God. When everything is going smoothly, it's easy to rely on our own strength and forget who's really in control. But setbacks have a way of bringing us to our knees, not in defeat, but in surrender. And in that surrender, we find that God's strength is greater than our weaknesses and His plans are better than our own. God's ability to turn setbacks into setups is not just about fixing your circumstances, it's about transforming you in the process. The pain, the waiting, and the uncertainty all serve to shape you into the person you need to be for the next chapter of your life. And when God finally brings you to that next chapter, you'll look back and see how every setback was part of the story. Another reason God allows setbacks is to set the stage for His glory to be revealed. When you overcome something that seemed impossible, when you rise from the ashes of what looked like failure, it's not just a testimony of your resilience, it's a testimony of His power. Your story becomes a beacon of hope for others, a reminder that God can redeem even the darkest moments. Setbacks also test your faith. They push you to trust God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense. They challenge you to believe that He's still working, even when you can't see it. And in that process, your faith grows stronger, deeper, and more unshakable. So the next time you face a setback, remember this, it's not the end. It's a setup for something greater. God is working behind the scenes, turning your pain into purpose, your failures into victories, and your detours into divine appointments. Trust Him in the process, and you'll see that what looked like a setback was really the foundation for something extraordinary. In a world that's constantly shifting, where plans fall apart, people let you down, and circumstances change in the blink of an eye, there's one thing that remains steadfast: God's promises. They are unshakable, unbreakable, and eternal. No matter what you're going through or how hopeless your situation feels, God's promises stand as a reminder that His word is as reliable today as it was thousands of years ago. The Bible is full of promises that reveal God's heart for His people. He promises peace in the midst of chaos, strength in times of weakness, and hope when everything feels lost. He promises to be your refuge, your provider, your healer, and your guide. These promises are not conditional upon your perfection. They are rooted in His love for you. Even when you fall short, even when you feel unworthy, His promises remain intact. One of the most comforting aspects of God's promises is their consistency. In a world where trust is often broken and expectations are unmet, God's promises never waver. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. This consistency gives you a firm foundation to stand on, even when everything around you feels unstable. When life feels uncertain, His promises are the anchor that keeps you steady. But here's the thing: God's promises often require faith. They don't always come to pass on our timeline or in the way we expect. This can be challenging because we live in a world that values instant gratification. We want answers now, breakthroughs immediately, and solutions on our terms. But God's promises are not about meeting our demands, they're about fulfilling His perfect plan. And while His timing may not align with ours, His promises are never late. Consider the story of Abraham. God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, yet Abraham and Sarah waited decades before seeing that promise fulfilled. During that waiting period, they undoubtedly experienced doubt, frustration, and confusion. But God's promise was unchanging, and in the end, He fulfilled it in ways they could never have imagined. Abraham's story reminds us that even in the waiting, God is faithful to His word. God's promises also provide hope. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges in front of you. But God's promises remind you that the storm is temporary. He promises that He will work all things together for good, that His plans for you are to prosper and not to harm you, and that nothing can separate you from His love. These promises are not just words, they are lifelines that sustain you through the darkest moments. But when you cling to God's promises, you're not just holding on to hope, you're holding on to Him. His promises are an extension of His nature, a reflection of His love and commitment to you. They are a reminder that no matter how uncertain life feels, you can trust the one who holds it all together. So when life feels overwhelming, return to God's promises. Speak them over your situation, meditate on them, and let them remind you of His faithfulness. His promises are unchanging, and they are a constant source of hope, strength, and encouragement for your journey. Life can feel heavy sometimes, can't it? The weight of expectations, the burden of responsibilities, the struggles that seem to come one after another, it all adds up, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. And yet, so many of us try to carry these burdens on our own, as if the strength to overcome life's challenges depends entirely on us. But here's the truth: you were never meant to carry it alone. God didn't create you to navigate this life in your own strength. From the very beginning, He designed you to depend on Him, to lean on His strength, and to find rest in His presence. The burdens you're carrying right now, whether they're physical, emotional, or spiritual, are not too heavy for Him. In fact, He's been waiting for you to let go of them and place them in His hands. Jesus invites us in Matthew 11:28-30, saying, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." This isn't just a comforting verse, it's a promise. It's an assurance that you don't have to carry the weight of life's struggles on your own. He's ready to shoulder the load with you. But surrendering your burdens to God requires trust. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, that your strength isn't enough, and that you need His help. This can be difficult, especially in a world that glorifies independence and self-sufficiency. But true freedom comes when you let go of the illusion of control and allow God to step in. When you place your burdens in God's hands, something incredible happens. The weight doesn't just lift, it transforms. What once felt overwhelming becomes an opportunity for growth, for deeper faith, and for experiencing God's power in your life. He doesn't just take the burden away, He uses it to teach you, to strengthen you, and to remind you of His love. You've likely experienced moments when you tried to carry it all on your own. Maybe you felt like asking for help was a sign of weakness. Or maybe you thought God was too busy for your problems. But the reality is, God cares deeply about every detail of your life. There is no burden too small or too big for Him. He's not just willing to carry it, He's eager to. The beauty of God's presence is that it doesn't just lighten your load, it gives you rest. True rest, the kind that goes beyond physical relaxation and reaches deep into your soul. It's a rest that comes from knowing you're not alone, that you're being held by the one who created you, and that you're supported by a strength far greater than your own. This doesn't mean life will be free from challenges, but it does mean you'll face those challenges differently. Instead of feeling crushed by the weight of your burdens, you'll walk with confidence, knowing that God is walking beside you. Instead of being consumed by fear and doubt, you'll experience peace and assurance, even in the midst of uncertainty. You were never meant to carry it alone, and you don't have to. God's invitation is always open. He's ready to take the burdens you've been holding on to replace your weariness with His strength, and to guide you through every challenge you face. All you have to do is let go and trust Him. Because when you do, you'll find that the burdens that once felt impossible to bear become light in the hands of the one who loves you unconditionally. You've carried so much, haven't you? The struggles, the fears, the doubts, they've weighed you down, drained your energy, and sometimes even made you question your purpose. But here's the truth that changes everything: you were never meant to carry it all alone. The burdens you bear, the battles you fight, the anxieties that keep you awake at night, God has been waiting for you to place them in His hands. The God who created the universe, the one who knows the number of stars in the sky and the hairs on your head, is the same God who knows your struggles intimately. He sees your pain, your tears, and your exhaustion. and he's not indifferent to it. He's deeply invested in you. He's ready to step into your situation, to fight your battles, to bring peace to your chaos, and to turn your setbacks into setups for something greater. God's power is limitless. His timing is perfect, and his promises are unchanging. When you trust him, when you let go of the need to control everything and surrender it to him, you're not just giving up, you're stepping into his strength. You're allowing him to take what was meant to harm you and use it for your good. You're declaring that your struggles are no match for the God who holds the universe in his hands. So here's the invitation: let go. Surrender your fears, your doubts, and your worries. Place them in God's hands and trust that he will carry you through. Trust that he is bigger than your struggles, stronger than your pain, and faithful to fulfill every promise he's made to you. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you're no longer bound by fear or weighed down by anxiety. A chapter where you walk in faith, knowing that the God who has brought you this far will not leave you now. You are not alone, and you never have been. God is bigger than your struggles. Place it in his hands and watch how he turns your trials into triumphs, your pain into purpose, and your burdens into blessings. The best is yet to come. Trust him. He's got you.
There comes a time in every life when the weight of struggle presses so hard upon the soul that even the strongest heart begins to waver. You have prayed, you have toiled, and yet the doors remain shut. You have stayed faithful, but nothing seems to move. You look around and it seems as though everyone else is walking into their season of abundance, while you remain in the wilderness, waiting, hoping, aching for the moment when everything changes. You ask yourself, why am I still here? Why, after all my efforts, does my breakthrough seem farther away than ever? But what if I told you that this very struggle, the frustration, the obstacles, the silence is not a sign of rejection, but of preparation? What if, instead of evidence that you have been forgotten, it is proof that you are on the verge of something greater than you can see? What if what feels like the delay of a promise is, in truth, the final test before the breakthrough? There is a divine principle woven into the fabric of every great victory. Before you step into your blessing, you will be tested. It is not a punishment. It is not cruelty. It is the necessary refining that ensures when your time comes, you are ready to carry the weight of the destiny assigned to you. Look at the pages of history, at the stories of those who walked before us. Every person who rose to greatness first walked through a season of fire. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, cast into a pit, and sold into slavery before he ever saw the palace. Job lost everything: his wealth, his health, his family, before God restored him beyond measure. David was anointed to be king, but instead of being crowned, he found himself running for his life, hiding in caves, feeling forsaken. And even Christ himself was not exalted until after the suffering, the betrayal, the weight of the cross. So why should your path be any different? Understand this: the intensity of your trial is an indicator of the magnitude of your blessing. The enemy does not fight those who are going nowhere. The attacks on your life, the closed doors, the sudden loneliness, these are not random. They are calculated. They are meant to shake you, to make you doubt, to weaken your resolve just before the breakthrough manifests. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that just when you feel like giving up, just when everything seems impossible, there is an unexpected shift? A door cracks open. A burden lifts. A new strength rises from within you, one you didn't know you had. This is not coincidence. This is the pattern of divine timing. God does not promote untested faith. He does not elevate those who are not prepared to carry the responsibility that comes with greater blessings. And that is why this season, this painful, confusing, exhausting season is happening to you. It is not to destroy you, it is to equip you. You are being stretched because you are being prepared to hold something greater. You are being tested because your spirit is being fortified for the next level. The resistance you feel is the pressure that forges strength. the fire that refines gold, the process that transforms a seed into a towering tree. Consider the caterpillar. It does not simply wake up one day with wings. It must first enter the cocoon, the dark, isolated, suffocating space where transformation occurs. From the outside, it appears as though nothing is happening. It looks like death, but inside, unseen, something miraculous is taking place. The struggle inside the cocoon is what strengthens the wings that will one day allow it to fly. If you try to cut the process short, if you try to escape before the transformation is complete, you will emerge too weak to soar. This is where you are. You are in the cocoon. You are in the fire. You are in the test. And everything in you wants to break free, to see the fulfillment of the promise now. But God, in His infinite wisdom, is saying, not yet. Hold on. Stay faithful. Keep pressing forward. Because He knows that the moment you are ready, the doors will swing open and nothing will be able to stop you. But the test must come first. So how do you endure it? How do you keep going when the weight is too much? When your prayers seem to echo into nothingness? When the world tells you to give up? You remind yourself that the struggle is proof of what's coming. That if God were not about to do something great in your life, you would not be facing this level of opposition. You hold on to the truth that the silence of today is not the absence of God, but the preparation of something beyond your imagination. You must not let the darkness fool you. The enemy wants you to believe that your suffering is meaningless, that you are stuck, that you are alone. But in reality, you are being refined, you are being strengthened, and you are being positioned. And when the time is right, when the test has been passed, your breakthrough will come. And so I ask you, will you hold on? Will you trust even when you cannot see? Will you endure even when it hurts? Because if you do, if you refuse to give in, if you keep walking by faith, your victory will not just come, it will be greater than you ever dreamed. This is the moment before the breakthrough. This is the test before the triumph. Hold on. You are closer than you think. Unusual delays and obstacles. The journey toward your breakthrough will never be a smooth, effortless path. If it were easy, everyone would walk it. But the divine process requires refinement. And one of the most frustrating yet significant signs that you are being tested is the presence of constant, unusual delays and obstacles. Have you noticed how, just when you feel on the verge of something great, everything seems to slow down? Plans that once moved swiftly come to a grinding halt. Opportunities that were just within reach suddenly vanish. You knock on doors that should have opened, but instead they remain shut, leaving you standing in uncertainty. You begin to wonder if you've been forgotten, if your efforts have been wasted, or worse, if you're being punished. But hear this truth: delays are not denials. They are divine orchestrations designed to prepare you for what is coming. When you are being tested, everything that once worked effortlessly seems to fail. But this is not because you are incapable or unworthy. It is because God is removing all that is not aligned with your future. He is shutting doors that would lead you down the wrong path. He is ensuring that when you step into your destiny, nothing and no one can take it from you. Consider this: if you plant a seed and dig it up every day to check its progress, you will destroy its ability to grow. The seed needs darkness, time, and pressure to sprout. Likewise, your life is in a stage where things appear motionless, but beneath the surface, divine timing is at work. The delays you face are not a sign to quit. They are a test of your patience, faith, and endurance. You must understand that what seems like a setback is actually a setup. The delays force you to let go of control and trust in the unseen. They stretch you beyond your limits, pushing you to rely on faith rather than sight. They teach you to release timelines, expectations, and fear, knowing that the promise is already yours, it simply has its appointed time. Many people give up in this season. They allow frustration to rob them of their faith. They mistake the silence for abandonment and walk away just before their breakthrough arrives. But those who endure, those who recognize that delays are part of the test, will one day look back and understand that the wait was necessary. The struggle refined them. The obstacles made them stronger. The patience they developed in the delay became the very thing that allowed them to handle the blessing when it finally arrived. So, if you find yourself waiting longer than expected, if the obstacles seem never-ending, do not lose heart. Your breakthrough has not been cancelled. It is being perfected. And when it comes, it will be unstoppable. Increased spiritual attacks. When the enemy senses that you are approaching a breakthrough, the attacks will intensify. This is not a coincidence. It is confirmation that you are closer than ever to the promise that has been set before you. Spiritual attacks come in many forms: sudden anxiety, unexplainable fear, overwhelming doubt, or even thoughts of giving up entirely. You may notice that temptations increase, distractions multiply, and battles that you thought were behind you suddenly resurface. People who once supported you begin to turn against you. Confusion sets in. It feels as though you are under siege from all directions. This is not because you are weak. It is because you are a threat. The enemy does not attack those who are stagnant. He does not waste his energy on those who pose no danger to his plans. But when you start moving toward your destiny, when your spirit begins to align with the higher calling over your life, resistance will come. It is important to recognize these attacks for what they are, a sign that you are stepping into something greater. The pressure increases because you are breaking through barriers that have held you back for years. The resistance grows stronger because you are on the verge of a transformation that will shift everything in your favor. In these moments, fear will try to grip you. You will question your own strength, your purpose, even your worthiness. But the key is to stand firm. Do not retreat. Do not allow temporary attacks to make you abandon permanent blessings. This is the test: will you give up in the battle, or will you fight through, knowing that victory is already yours? Understand that spiritual attacks are designed to shake your faith. They are meant to plant doubt, to make you question everything you once believed. But if you recognize them for what they are, you can use them as fuel. Instead of falling into despair, rise in strength. Instead of shrinking back, push forward with even greater determination. History has shown that the fiercest battles come right before the greatest victories. A storm always rages hardest before it breaks. If you can hold on in this season, if you can push through the attacks and refuse to be swayed, you will emerge stronger than ever. The enemy cannot stop what has already been ordained. He can only try to distract you, to wear you down. But if you remain steadfast, if you refuse to let go, the very attacks meant to destroy you will become the stepping stones that lead you into your destiny. And so, when you find yourself under attack, do not fear. Do not despair. Rejoice, because it is proof that something great is coming. Your breakthrough is near, and no force in heaven or earth can stop what has already been set into motion. Hold your ground. Your victory is already written. Feeling alone and isolated? There comes a moment in the journey toward breakthrough when everything feels quiet. The voices that once encouraged you disappear. The friends who once stood beside you fade into the background. The people you thought would celebrate your victories now seem distant, indifferent, or even hostile. It is as though you have been placed in a wilderness alone, wandering, waiting for something unseen. At first, this isolation feels unbearable. You wonder if you have done something wrong, if you have been abandoned, if your prayers are being met with silence because you are no longer worthy of an answer. But this season of isolation is not a punishment. It is a divine strategy. When God is preparing you for something greater, He removes distractions. He strips away the noise. He calls you into a quiet place, not because you are forgotten, but because He needs your full attention. There are revelations that cannot come in the presence of the crowd. There are lessons that cannot be learned while surrounded by familiar voices. There is wisdom that can only be gained in solitude. Look at the pattern of those who have walked this path before you. Joseph was isolated in prison before he rose to the palace. Moses was sent into the wilderness before he became a leader. David was left to tend sheep alone before he became king. Even Jesus retreated to the wilderness before stepping fully into his purpose. If you feel alone in this season, it is because God is setting you apart. He is refining you in the quiet so that when your moment comes, you will be unshakable. The people who left, the ones who turned away, were never meant to walk with you into your destiny. Their exit was necessary. Their silence was orchestrated. In this isolation, the real work begins. You will be tested in ways you never expected. You will face thoughts and emotions that were once drowned out by the voices around you. You will be forced to confront the deepest parts of yourself. And yet, in this space, something incredible happens. You will find a strength within you that you never knew existed. It is here, in the loneliness, that faith is built. It is here that trust is deepened. It is here that your dependence shifts from people to God alone. And when the time is right, when the process is complete, the doors will open, and the people who left will no longer matter. You will step into your destiny knowing that you were never alone, you were being prepared. Emotional and mental turmoil. One of the strongest indicators that you are being tested before your breakthrough is the battle that takes place within your mind. The external struggles, the delays, the isolation, the obstacles are difficult, but the internal battles are even greater. Doubt creeps in. Fear whispers lies. Anxiety grips your soul, making you question everything. You may find yourself second-guessing every decision. Thoughts of inadequacy, failure, and hopelessness begin to flood your mind. You wonder if you are even capable, if you are strong enough, if you are truly meant for the vision placed inside of you. The dreams that once felt so clear now seem distant. The passion that once burned brightly is now flickering, struggling to survive against the weight of discouragement. This is not an accident. This is part of the test. The mind is the battlefield where breakthroughs are won or lost. It is here that the greatest battles take place, because the enemy knows that if he can control your thoughts, he can control your actions. If he can make you believe that you are unworthy, you will sabotage your own destiny. If he can make you believe that you are too weak, you will stop fighting just before your victory arrives. This internal turmoil is meant to push you to the breaking point. But what feels like breaking is actually reshaping. The negative thoughts, the doubts, the fears, they are surfacing because they must be dealt with before you can move forward. Many people never make it past this stage. They allow the weight of their thoughts to crush them. They believe the lies, and they walk away from the very thing they have been called to do. But those who understand the test, those who recognize the battle for what it is, refuse to be controlled by fear. This is the moment where you must take control. The doubts must be confronted. The lies must be silenced. You must remind yourself of who you are, of why you started, of the calling that was placed on your life long before the obstacles arose. You must speak life into your own mind, even when every thought tells you to give up. Do not let the turmoil deceive you. It is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that you are closer than ever to breaking through. The mind resists change, and the closer you get to stepping into something new, the louder the resistance becomes. But if you stand firm, if you refuse to surrender to fear, if you choose faith over doubt, you will emerge stronger than ever. This is the test before the transformation. This is the fire before the refining. And if you endure, if you keep pressing forward, your breakthrough will not just come, it will be undeniable. Opportunities disappearing. One of the most frustrating and confusing signs that you are being tested before your breakthrough is the sudden disappearance of opportunities that once seemed certain. Just when you think you are about to step into the blessing, the door slams shut. The job you thought was yours goes to someone else. The financial breakthrough you were counting on vanishes. The relationship you thought was secure crumbles without warning. At first it seems unfair. You were right there. You did everything right. You prepared, you prayed, you moved in faith. And yet, what you hoped for slips through your fingers like sand. The confusion sets in. Did you misinterpret the signs? Did you make a mistake? Were you never meant to receive what you were working toward? But what if I told you that the disappearance of opportunities is not a sign of failure, but of divine redirection? What if the doors that closed were not a rejection, but a safeguard? What if what you lost was not meant to sustain you and God, in His wisdom, removed it before it could harm you? So often, we cling to opportunities because they seem right in the moment. We hold on to them because they look like the answer to our prayers. But not every open door leads to the right destination. Not every opportunity is aligned with the destiny God has prepared for us. Sometimes what appears to be a blessing is actually a distraction in disguise. Think of the child who holds tightly to a small toy, refusing to let go, not realizing that his father is waiting to replace it with something far greater. The child, in his limited understanding, believes he is losing something precious, unaware that what he is holding onto is preventing him from receiving something better. This is what happens when opportunities vanish. It is not a loss, it is a repositioning. The closed doors are God's way of ensuring that you do not settle for something beneath your calling. They force you to trust, to release control, and to surrender to a greater plan than the one you envisioned for yourself. You must understand that the delay, the removal, the sudden loss, it is all part of the refinement process. It is a test of faith. Will you still believe when what you expected disappears? Will you trust that something better is coming when all you see is emptiness? This is where many falter. They give up when the opportunity vanishes, not realizing that the next door is about to open. The breakthrough always follows the test. The promise always comes after the pruning. Greater temptations. As you stand on the edge of your breakthrough, the temptations in your life will increase. The distractions will multiply. The things you have already overcome will suddenly reappear, trying to lure you back into old patterns, old mindsets, and old weaknesses. This is not a coincidence. It is a strategic test designed to see if you are truly ready to step into your next season. Temptation does not come to those who are stagnant. It comes to those who are on the brink of transformation. It comes as a final attempt to pull you back into the person you used to be, to keep you chained to the habits, relationships, and decisions that once kept you from moving forward. Have you noticed how, just when you are trying to focus, distractions increase? Just when you commit to discipline, laziness creeps in. Just when you decide to walk in faith, fear whispers in your ear? This is not by accident. The closer you are to the threshold of your breakthrough, the more resistance you will face. The enemy knows that if he can get you to fall into temptation, he can delay your blessing. He does not need to destroy you, he only needs to keep you stuck. He only needs to make you comfortable in the place you were meant to leave behind. Look at those who have walked this path before you. Every great leader, every person of faith, every individual who stepped into a higher calling first had to face the test of temptation. Joseph was tempted by Potiphar's wife before he was elevated to rule. Jesus was tempted in the wilderness before stepping into his ministry. Even David, a man after God's own heart, faced temptations that tested his character before he could fulfill his purpose. The temptation is not the problem. It is how you respond to it that determines what happens next. If you give in, if you allow yourself to fall back into what you were meant to leave behind, you delay your breakthrough. But if you resist, if you stand firm, if you choose discipline over comfort, you prove that you are ready for what is coming. You must recognize that every temptation is a test. It is asking you one question: are you ready? Are you truly prepared to handle the blessings that are waiting for you? Will you choose your future over the temporary distractions of the present? The greatest breakthroughs require the greatest discipline. The biggest blessings require the strongest character. And the temptations that rise against you now are not random, they are revealing whether you are ready to move forward. This is where the battle is fought and won. And how you respond in this moment will determine the next season of your life. Extreme fatigue and exhaustion. There is a moment in every journey toward breakthrough where exhaustion sets in, not just physical exhaustion, but a deep, soul-crushing fatigue that makes even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. It is as if you are carrying a weight far heavier than before, draining your energy, making it difficult to find the motivation to keep going. You wake up tired even after resting. Your mind feels clouded. Your spirit feels weary. And no matter how much you push yourself, it feels like you are running on empty. This kind of exhaustion is not just a result of physical strain, it is spiritual warfare. It is the weight of unseen battles, the pressure of an impending breakthrough, the stretching of your endurance as you reach the final stage of your test. The enemy knows that if he cannot stop you, he will try to wear you down. If he cannot make you give up through fear or doubt, he will attempt to drain you of energy until you surrender out of sheer exhaustion. Have you noticed that this kind of fatigue does not come at the beginning of your journey? It comes when you are already deep into the process, when you have endured the delays, the losses, the attacks, and the temptations. It is the kind of weariness that makes you question whether continuing is even worth it. It makes you wonder if the breakthrough is real, or if you have been deceiving yourself all along. But here is what you must understand: this exhaustion is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are carrying something significant. The weight you feel is the weight of transformation. It is the stretching of your capacity. It is the final test before the breakthrough, ensuring that you have the strength to sustain what is coming. Think of a woman in labor. The closer she gets to delivering her child, the more exhausted she becomes. Her body weakens. The pain intensifies. Every part of her wants to give up. And yet it is in this very moment, when she feels like she has nothing left, that new life is born. This is where you are. You are in the final contractions before the promise is revealed. The exhaustion you feel is proof that something is about to shift. In these moments, you must be careful. The enemy will try to use your fatigue against you. He will plant thoughts in your mind, convincing you that you are too weak, too tired, too broken to continue. He will tempt you with shortcuts, offering an easy way out that will only lead you back to where you started. But this is not the time to surrender. This is the time to press forward. There is a second wind coming. There is a renewal of strength that awaits those who endure. The fatigue will not last forever. The weariness will not consume you. If you can hold on just a little longer, you will see the promise unfold before you. Unanswered prayers. One of the hardest tests in the journey of faith is experiencing unanswered prayers. You have poured your heart out. You have cried out in desperation. You have knocked on heaven's door again and again, and yet silence. No response. No sign. No indication that your prayers have even been heard. This is the moment where faith is truly tested. It is easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly, when doors open effortlessly, when signs appear as confirmation that you are on the right path. But what happens when the heavens remain silent? What happens when your prayers seem to vanish into the void, with no indication that change is coming? Many people lose their faith in this season. They mistake God's silence for His absence. They assume that because they have not received an immediate answer, they have been forgotten. They begin to question whether their prayers even matter, whether they were ever meant to receive what they have been asking for. But silence is not rejection. Silence is preparation. When your prayers seem unanswered, it is not because they have gone unnoticed. It is because there is something happening in the unseen. There is a process unfolding that you cannot yet perceive. Sometimes what you are asking for is already on its way, but the timing is not yet right. Sometimes God is aligning things in the background, making sure that when your prayer is answered, it will be perfect, complete, and unshakable. Look at the stories of those who have gone before you. Abraham waited years for the promise of a son. Hannah prayed for a child in agony before Samuel was born. Joseph endured years of suffering before he stepped into his destiny. Their prayers were not ignored. They were being refined. They were being tested in the waiting, made ready for what was to come. Unanswered prayers are a test of trust. Do you believe only when you see results? Or do you believe because you know that God is faithful? Do you hold on to faith when everything is silent, or do you let go the moment it feels like nothing is changing? The waiting is where your faith is strengthened. It is where your heart is purified. It is where your desires are tested. Do you want the blessing more than the one who gives it? Are you seeking the answer, or are you seeking the giver? These are the questions that must be answered before the breakthrough can come. This is the hardest part of the test because it requires surrender. It requires a willingness to trust even when there is no evidence. It requires letting go of control and believing that in the right time the answer will come. Unanswered prayers are not a sign of neglect. They are an invitation to deeper faith. They are a call to trust in the unseen, to believe beyond what is visible, to hold on to hope even when there is no proof. And those who endure, those who refuse to give up in the waiting, will one day look back and see that every unanswered prayer was not a denial, but a preparation for something far greater than they had imagined. A call to surrender and trust. There comes a moment in every journey toward breakthrough when the weight of the battle becomes unbearable, and the only path forward is surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to trust in something greater than your understanding. Trust in divine timing. Trust that the process you are enduring is leading you exactly where you need to be. This call to surrender is one of the most difficult tests of all, because it requires you to release control, to let go of your expectations, and to fully place your faith in what is unseen. At first, surrender feels like giving up. You have spent so much time pushing forward, trying to make things happen, fighting for your dreams, praying for change, yet nothing seems to be moving. The harder you try, the more resistance you face. You reach a point where exhaustion sets in, where frustration consumes you, where you feel like you have nothing left to give. It is in this moment that the test reveals itself. Do you continue striving in your own strength, or do you finally surrender and trust the process? Many people misunderstand what surrender truly means. They think it is a sign of weakness, a passive acceptance of whatever happens. But in reality, surrender is the ultimate act of faith. It is choosing to believe that even when things do not go according to your plan, they are still working for your good. It is trusting that the delays, the obstacles, the losses, and the setbacks are not random, they are intentional, designed to shape you, to prepare you, to align you with something far greater than you could have orchestrated on your own. The truth is, we often cling too tightly to our own expectations. We set timelines in our minds. We create visions of how things should unfold. And when reality does not match our expectations, we panic. We feel abandoned. We question whether we heard God correctly. We wrestle with doubt, with fear, with disappointment. But what if the very thing we are fighting to hold on to is the very thing standing in the way of our breakthrough? What if the closed doors, the missed opportunities, the unexpected detours are not signs of failure, but divine redirection? Look at the pattern in the lives of those who came before you. Every person who experienced a breakthrough first had to come to a place of surrender. Abraham had to let go of his understanding and trust that he would become the father of nations, even when he was old and childless. Moses had to surrender his doubts and fears before he could lead his people to freedom. Joseph had to surrender to the process of being betrayed, imprisoned, and forgotten before he could rise to power. Even Jesus, in the garden before his greatest victory, surrendered, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." Surrender is not passive. It is the hardest battle of all. It requires laying down your will, your desires, your timeline, and choosing to believe that even in silence, even in uncertainty, even in pain, something greater is at work. But surrender is not easy. The human heart craves control. We want to know the outcome. We want guarantees. We want to see results before we trust. But that is not how faith works. Faith is believing before you see. Faith is walking forward when the path is unclear. Faith is trusting that what is happening for you, not to you. The test of surrender often comes when you are at your lowest point, when you have done all you can do, when every door is closed, when every effort seems wasted, when every prayer feels unanswered. It is in this moment that you are given a choice. Will you keep striving, trying to force things in your own strength, or will you let go and trust? Many people never reach their breakthrough because they refuse to surrender. They cling to what is familiar, afraid to release it. They hold on to their own plans, afraid that what God has for them will not be as good. They fear the unknown, so they settle for what is safe. But those who truly step into their purpose, those who experience the fullness of their breakthrough, are the ones who learn to surrender completely. This does not mean that you stop working, stop believing, or stop pursuing your goals. It means that you release the need to control the outcome. You continue forward, but you do so with peace, knowing that the results are not in your hands. You stop forcing what is not meant for you. You stop worrying about things you cannot change. You stop living in fear of the unknown. When you finally surrender, something shifts. The weight lifts. The anxiety fades. The things that once seemed impossible begin to fall into place effortlessly. You begin to see the pieces of the puzzle come together in ways you never imagined. Opportunities arise that you did not chase. People come into your life who align with your purpose. Situations that once frustrated you suddenly make sense. The very things you were striving for begin to manifest, not because you forced them, but because you allowed them to unfold in their appointed time. This is the mystery of surrender. When you release control, you actually gain more than you could have ever held on to. You begin to move in alignment with divine timing. You stop resisting the flow of what is meant for you. You realize that all along the struggle was not with external circumstances, it was with your own need to control. And once you let go, once you fully trust, the breakthrough that seemed so far away suddenly becomes your reality. Surrender is not losing. It is stepping into a greater plan than your own. It is understanding that what is meant for you will not miss you. It is knowing that the delays, the struggles, and even the losses were all leading you to something greater than you could have imagined. And when you finally let go, when you truly trust, you will see that everything you needed was already on its way. A sudden shift in perspective. There comes a moment in the process of transformation when something within you begins to change. It is not always a grand, dramatic event. Sometimes it is as subtle as a thought that refused to leave your mind, a realization that suddenly makes everything clear, or a quiet but undeniable knowing that you are no longer the person you used to be. This shift in perspective is not random, it is the final and most crucial stage of your test before the breakthrough. At first it may feel unsettling. You begin to see things differently. The struggles that once made you feel helpless now seem like stepping stones rather than barriers. The pain that once consumed you now carries wisdom instead of suffering. The people who left no longer feel like a loss, but a necessary redirection. You start to understand that everything you went through, the delays, the obstacles, the disappointments, the isolation was not happening to you, but happening for you. This is the moment when the weight of the past begins to lift. You no longer feel controlled by what once held you captive. The fears that kept you stuck suddenly seem small in comparison to the vision that is unfolding before you. It is as if a veil has been removed, and for the first time, you see with clarity that the journey was never about what you lost, but about who you became in the process. A shift in perspective is the final test, because it determines whether you are truly ready for the breakthrough. Many people wait for external change before they believe that something is happening in their favor. They look for signs, for evidence, for proof. But the real transformation, the one that determines your readiness, does not happen outside of you. It happens within. Think of a caterpillar. It does not emerge from the cocoon because the world is finally ready for it. It emerges because it is ready for the world. The process of transformation was happening in darkness, hidden from sight, but the moment it was complete, the struggle ended and it broke free effortlessly. This is what happens when your perspective shifts. The things that once felt impossible now feel within reach. The doors that once seemed closed now appear as gateways. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start realizing this was happening for me all along. But this shift does not come easily. It comes after deep tests of faith. It comes after sleepless nights, endless prayers, and moments of doubt so strong they made you question everything. It comes after you have been stripped of everything that was not meant to go with you into the next season. It comes when you finally release control, when you surrender the fight, and when you open yourself to see beyond the pain. This is where the most powerful breakthroughs happen, not when circumstances change, but when you change. When you begin to see that the delay was not a denial but a period of preparation. When you understand that the struggles were not punishments but lessons that strengthened you for what is coming. When you recognize that the isolation was not abandonment, but an opportunity to grow without distractions. The reason why a shift in perspective is the final test is because your breakthrough cannot manifest until you are truly ready to receive it. Many people pray for blessings but are not prepared to handle them. They ask for opportunities but still carry the mindset of limitation. They seek success but are weighed down by the fears and insecurities of their past. Until the mind shifts, the reality cannot change. And so, if you feel something shifting within you, if your heart is opening in ways it never has before, if your thoughts are beginning to align with faith rather than fear, if you are no longer clinging to the past, but looking forward to the future, then you must know that your breakthrough is close. You are being positioned. You are being prepared. The test is almost complete. But you must hold on to this shift. You must protect it. Because just before the breakthrough fully manifests, there will be one final attempt to pull you back. The doubts will try to return. The enemy will whisper that nothing has really changed. Old fears will resurface, trying to convince you that you are still the same person, that you are not ready, that you should shrink back instead of stepping forward. This is where you must stand firm. You must declare with unwavering certainty that you are no longer the person who once hesitated, who once feared, who once doubted. You must remind yourself of everything you have endured, every battle you have fought, every lesson you have learned. You must walk with the confidence of someone who knows that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. A shift in perspective is the ultimate test, because it means you are finally ready to step into the promise. You have been stretched, refined, and prepared. You have been tested in patience, in faith, in resilience. And now, because your mind has changed, because your heart is aligned, because your spirit is no longer waiting for proof, but moving in certainty, now the breakthrough can come. You are standing at the edge of everything you have prayed for. The struggle is behind you. The transformation is complete. The only thing left to do is step forward. You have walked through the fire. You have endured the silence. You have felt the weight of delays, the pain of isolation, and the battle within your own mind. You have faced obstacles that seemed immovable, temptations that tried to pull you back, and exhaustion that threatened to break you. And yet you are still here. You have not given up. You have not surrendered to defeat. You have stood even when everything in you wanted to fall. And that, my friend, is the greatest sign of all. Breakthroughs do not come to those who quit. They do not manifest for those who walk away before the process is complete. They are reserved for those who endure, for those who refuse to let circumstances dictate their faith, for those who press forward even when the road is unclear. The very fact that you are still standing, still believing, still seeking is proof that something extraordinary is coming your way. Every struggle you have faced has not been in vain. Every test has been shaping you, refining you, preparing you for the promise ahead. You may not see the full picture yet, but that does not mean it is not unfolding. Seeds grow in darkness before they rise into the light. Gold is purified in fire before it shines in its full brilliance. And so it is with you. The process has not been easy, but it has been necessary. Because when your breakthrough comes, and it will come, you will not just receive it, you will be ready for it. You will step into your blessing with wisdom, with strength, with a heart that has been molded by faith. You will no longer carry the fears that once held you back. You will no longer hesitate when doors open before you. You will recognize that every delay, every battle, Every moment of waiting was leading you to this exact moment. So do not stop now. Do not turn back. Do not let the weight of the past keep you from stepping into the future that has been prepared for you. The struggle is a sign that you are near the finish line. The resistance is proof that the enemy knows what is coming. The shift in your spirit is confirmation that you are no longer waiting, you are becoming. Hold on, for your victory is near. Walk forward with faith, for your breakthrough is already on its way. The test is almost over, and what is ahead is greater than anything you have left behind. Imagine, if you will, a world in which you are destined for greatness. A world in which your hands are not merely tools of survival, but instruments of creation, your thoughts not fleeting whispers, but the very foundations upon which empires are built. Imagine waking up each morning not as a servant to your circumstances, but as a ruler over them. What if, instead of being weighed down by the limitations of your past, you carried the certainty of a future so grand, so extraordinary, that every step you took was a declaration of your sovereignty? You see, most people live as if they are merely passing through life, as if they are visitors in their own existence. They wait. They hesitate. They look around for permission to rise, but the ones who shape history, the ones who shift the course of destiny, do something entirely different. They act as if they are building an empire, because in truth they are. An empire is not just built of stone and mortar, nor is it measured by wealth or recognition. It is a state of being, a kingdom first established in the unseen before it manifests in the visible. And what you do today, how you think, how you move, how you speak determines whether you are building a shack or a kingdom that will stand for generations. Pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever observed how a true leader walks into a room? There is no hesitation, no questioning whether they belong. They act as if they are meant to be there because they are. And yet most people shrink, second-guessing their place in this world, unaware that the greatest force in existence has already given them the authority to reign. Have you ever considered that faith itself is the blueprint for all that is built? That the unseen forces of the universe are waiting for you to claim what is already yours. The Creator has placed within you the power to shape reality, to carve paths where none exist, to breathe life into the things you once thought impossible. But it requires something from you. It requires you to act. Act as if you were called to greatness. Act as if you are already walking in the fullness of your purpose. Act as if you are standing before the gates of a kingdom that has always been yours, but that you have only now chosen to step into. The mind does not wait for evidence, it creates it. If you walk in hesitation, the world will respond with resistance. But if you move with certainty, the mountains will bow, the storms will clear, and the doors will open, because they were never locked to begin with. Now let me ask you, what if everything you have been waiting for has been waiting for you to take the first step? What if the wealth, the success, the influence, the divine favor you seek has already been assigned to you, but it requires you to receive, to ready to receive it? What if all that separates you from the life you dream of is not external circumstance, but your willingness to believe that it is already yours? History is not written by those who hesitate. It is written by those who act, by those who move forward not with arrogance but with divine conviction, by those who understand that their every thought is a brick, their every word a foundation, their every action a decree. Your empire begins now, not in some distant future, not when circumstances change, not when someone else validates you. It begins the moment you decide to claim it. But how do you begin? How do you step into this truth with unwavering certainty? How do you transform yourself from one who waits to one who reigns? Here are 10 crucial principles that will shape your journey as you build the empire that has always been yours to claim. Every great empire, every towering structure, every revolution that has shaped history began first as a vision in the mind of its creator. There was a moment before the first stone was laid, before the first decree was made, when all that existed was an idea, a thought so powerful that it defied the constraints of the visible world. You must understand that what you see in your mind is far more real than what your eyes perceive. The invisible always precedes the visible. Think of the great leaders, inventors, and visionaries of the past. They were not guided by what was in front of them, but by what they saw within. They saw wealth before they possessed it, victory before the battle was won, cities before they were built. They understood that the mind is the architect of reality. If you cannot first see the empire in your mind, you will never hold it in your hands. Ask yourself, what do you see when you close your eyes? Do you see lack, failure, and defeat? Or do you see strength, influence, and abundance? Because whatever image dominates your thoughts will inevitably become your life. This is why most people remain small. They see themselves as small. They believe only in the limitations of the present moment rather than the unlimited potential of their destiny. But if you are to build something grand, if you are to rise above the ordinary and claim the extraordinary, you must first build it in the unseen. You must walk through the halls of your success in your imagination before you ever step foot in reality. You must hear the sound of your victory before the world acknowledges it. You must live, breathe, and move with the confidence of one who already possesses what they seek. The mistake most people make is waiting for evidence before they believe. But faith does not wait for proof, faith creates it. The Creator has already placed within you the blueprint of your greatness. But until you see it with absolute clarity, the world will not align to make it so. Your vision must be so clear, so vivid, that it becomes undeniable. Not to others, but to you. Because the moment you become convinced, the world has no choice but to follow. Everything begins in the unseen. And if you can see it, truly see it, then nothing in this world can stop you from making it real. Doubt is the great destroyer of dreams. It creeps in like a shadow, whispering lies that convince you that you are not worthy, not capable, not ready. But if you allow doubt to take root, it will dismantle your empire before the foundation is even set. If you hesitate, the world will hesitate with you. If you move with uncertainty, life will mirror that uncertainty back at you. But there is another way. The way of kings, of rulers, of those who shape their own destiny. It is the way of absolute certainty. The kind of certainty that does not ask for permission, that does not wait for validation, that does not need confirmation from the outside world. It is the kind of certainty that moves mountains because it refuses to acknowledge the possibility of failure. You must understand this. The universe does not respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness. It responds to conviction. When you step forward with absolute certainty, doors open, paths clear, and obstacles dissolve. Not because they were never there, but because they cannot stand against someone who refuses to back down. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to those who move with confidence? It is not because they have everything figured out, it is because they have chosen to believe in themselves despite uncertainty. And that belief is what shapes reality. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you think, it all signals to the world whether you are a ruler or a servant to your circumstances. There will be moments when fear tries to shake your foundation, when challenges attempt to make you question your worth. But this is the test. This is where most people turn back, but not you. Because you understand that faith is not about seeing the way, it is about knowing that the way will appear the moment you take the step. Walk with certainty. Act as if it is already yours. Speak with the authority of someone who knows their destiny is secure, and watch as the world bends to make it so. Words are not mere sounds, they are commands sent into the unseen. They shape reality, define destiny, and call forth that which does not yet exist. Most people speak from a place of uncertainty, reinforcing their struggles, their fears, and their limitations. They say things like, I hope one day I will succeed, or if things work out, I might get there. But these words are weak, filled with doubt, and they produce a weak reality. Those who build empires speak differently. They do not ask, they declare. They do not beg, they command. They do not wait, they proclaim. There is a reason why every great spiritual teaching emphasizes the power of the spoken word, because what you say, you create. The words you use are not just descriptions of your reality, they are the tools by which you construct it. Have you ever noticed that when someone speaks with conviction, people believe them even before they have proof? This is because confidence in one's words carries an energy that cannot be denied. The world responds to certainty. If you speak as though your vision is already real, the universe begins to align with that reality. If you keep saying, "I will try," you are announcing hesitation. If you say, "One day I hope," you are confirming delay. But when you say, "I am building something great," "I am destined for success," "I am walking in divine favor," you shift your reality. You begin to attract the very things you declare. The mind is programmed to prove itself right. If you constantly affirm weakness, you will see evidence of weakness. But if you speak powerfully, your world will rise to match the power of your words. Think of a ruler addressing their people. They do not speak in questions, nor do they tremble in uncertainty. They command. They decree. They set forth a vision with words that carry weight. You must do the same. Speak of your future as if it is already unfolding. Declare your success as if it has already been written. Speak of your empire as if it is already built, and soon the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what you have spoken into existence. No empire is built in isolation. No kingdom stands strong if it is surrounded by weak walls. If you are serious about building something great, then you must guard your environment with vigilance. The people around you will either reinforce your vision or destroy it. They will either build alongside you or tear down your foundation brick by brick with their doubts, negativity, and small-minded thinking. Look at the most powerful individuals throughout history: leaders, innovators, creators of lasting impact. They did not surround themselves with complainers, doubters, or those content with mediocrity. They aligned themselves with visionaries, strategists, warriors, and builders. They walked with those who understood the weight of greatness and carried the mindset necessary to sustain it. Ask yourself, who do you spend your time with? Do they challenge you to rise, or do they keep you in the comfort of stagnation? Do they push you toward your highest self, or do they pull you into their limitations? If you truly want to build an empire, then you must walk with those who think in terms of expansion, growth, and legacy. It is not enough to be strong if you are constantly surrounded by those who weaken you. Their words, their energy, and their habits will shape your reality more than you realize. If you are constantly in the presence of people who complain about life, you will begin to see the world through their lens of lack. If you surround yourself with those who fear risk, you will start questioning your own courage. But if you walk among those who think in terms of abundance, success, and purpose, then you will rise to meet their standard. Do not be afraid to walk away from those who cannot see the vision. Not everyone is meant to build with you. Some will misunderstand your ambition. Some will resent your growth. Some will try to pull you back because your success reminds them of their own failure to act. Let them go. Your empire is too important to be weighed down by those who do not believe. Instead, seek out those who dream as you do. Find those who talk about building, creating, and expanding. Align yourself with those who see the impossible and say, "Let's make it happen." Surround yourself with builders, and your empire will rise faster than you ever imagined. An empire cannot be built with the mind of a servant. If you think small, you will live small. If you allow limitations to dictate your vision, you will never rise beyond them. The world is filled with people who have chained themselves to mediocrity, not because they lack ability, but because they lack the courage to think beyond their current circumstances. Understand this: the size of your vision determines the size of your reality. If you think like a beggar, you build like one. If you think like a ruler, you will begin to move in the authority of one. But too many people allow fear, insecurity, and past failures to shrink their thinking. They convince themselves that they are not worthy of great things, that they should be satisfied with just getting by. They make excuses: "I don't have the right background. I don't know the right people. I failed too many times." But these are not facts. They are mental prisons. Look at the world around you. Every skyscraper, every business empire, every revolutionary idea began with a single thought, one person daring to believe in something bigger than what their eyes could see. Those who transform the world are not necessarily the most talented, but they are the ones who refuse to think small. If you want to build something great, you must break free from small thinking. You must train your mind to expand beyond what is familiar. Stop speaking in terms of limits. Stop saying, "I just want enough to survive." And start declaring, "I am building something that will last for generations." Stop focusing on obstacles and start seeing opportunities. Most people will never understand this way of thinking. They will tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to not get your hopes up, but they are not building what you are building. Their words reflect their reality, not yours. A king does not take advice from a man who has never ruled. A builder does not seek permission from those who have never laid a foundation. Guard your mind against small thinking. Train yourself to think in terms of expansion, not limitation. When doubt tries to creep in, silence it. When fear whispers that you are dreaming too big, remind yourself that every empire once existed only in someone's imagination. The world belongs to those who refuse to shrink themselves to fit into it. Power is not something you wait for, it is something you step into. The greatest mistake people make is waiting for permission to become who they were meant to be. They hesitate, wondering if they are ready, if they are qualified, if they are good enough. But those who rule do not wait for approval. They move as if they were born for this because they were. Have you ever noticed how the world treats those who walk in confidence? When a person enters a room with certainty, others instinctively respect them. Not because of their title, not because of their wealth, but because of their presence. There is something undeniable about a person who carries themselves with authority. It is a signal to the world that they belong, that they are in control, that they are building something of significance. Authority is not given, it is taken. And the moment you decide to act as if you have already stepped into your calling, the world will begin to respond accordingly. This does not mean arrogance, it means alignment. It means knowing without a doubt that you have been created for a purpose and stepping into it with full conviction. Too many people shrink themselves, waiting for someone else to confirm their greatness. They hesitate to speak up, to take action, to move forward, because they fear rejection. But if you wait for validation, you will never rise. The only permission you need has already been given to you by the Creator. You were designed to lead, to build, to expand. But you must act like it. When you wake up in the morning, do not move through your day as if you are powerless. Do not walk with hesitation. Do not speak with uncertainty. Do not think as if you are waiting for something to happen. Act as if you are already in possession of what you seek. Speak with the confidence of one who knows their destiny is secure. Move with the assurance of one who understands that the path has already been laid before them. There will be those who question you. There will be those who doubt you. Let them. Their disbelief is not your burden to carry. You do not need their approval. You do not need their understanding. Your only responsibility is to step fully into who you are meant to be and act as if your empire is already rising. Because the moment you do, it will. An empire is only as strong as the one who builds it. You cannot rise higher than your own level of knowledge, discipline, and wisdom. If you wish to create something lasting, something that stands the test of time, you must become the kind of person who is capable of sustaining it. Most people want success, but they are unwilling to pay the price for it. They want influence, but they refuse to sharpen their minds. They dream of greatness, yet they spend their days on meaningless distractions, wasting the very time that could be used to elevate their future. Understand this, you cannot expect to lead an empire if you have not first mastered yourself. The greatest investment you will ever make is not in real estate, stocks, or business ventures, it is in yourself. Your mind is your most powerful asset. What you feed it will determine what you produce. If you consume nonsense, you will build nonsense. If you surround yourself with mediocrity, you will produce mediocrity. But if you seek wisdom, discipline, and knowledge, you will create something that cannot be shaken. Ask yourself, what are you doing daily to sharpen your mind? Are you reading? Are you studying? Are you learning from those who have already walked the path you are on? Or are you waiting for knowledge to come to you by accident? The most powerful individuals in history did not stumble into greatness, they pursued it. They sought out wisdom like hidden treasure. They sacrificed comfort for mastery. Your empire will not be built by luck, it will be built by preparation. You must prepare your mind, your body, and your spirit for the weight of the greatness that is coming. If you want financial success, study wealth building. If you want leadership, study the minds of great rulers. If you want discipline, train yourself in small habits daily. The future belongs to those who are prepared for it. Make learning a lifelong pursuit. Never stop growing. Never stop refining. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you begin to decline. Your mind is your kingdom. Guard it, cultivate it, expand it. The world will recognize and reward those who are prepared, but it will ignore those who refuse to invest in themselves. If you truly believe you are building something great, act like it. Educate yourself like a ruler. Train like a warrior. Think like a strategist. Build yourself before you build your empire, and you will create something that lasts for generations. No empire has ever been built without resistance. No ruler has ever risen without trials. If you believe you can step into greatness without facing opposition, you are mistaken. The moment you decide to build, the stones will come. The moment you declare your vision, obstacles will appear. Not to destroy you, but to test you, to refine you, to shape you, to determine whether you are worthy of the kingdom you seek to create. Most people retreat at the first sign of difficulty. They see challenges as signs that they should give up, that perhaps they were never meant to succeed. But the wise understand that resistance is proof of progress. If you were no threat to mediocrity, it would not fight against you. If your vision was insignificant, it would not be tested. The struggle is not a sign to quit, it is a sign that you are on the right path. Have you ever noticed that the higher you climb, the stronger the winds become? This is because at every new level, there is a new test. The stones are not meant to break you, they are meant to prove you. A weak foundation will crumble under pressure, but a strong one will only be strengthened by the weight placed upon it. If you want to build something great, you must develop the endurance to withstand the trials that come with it. So do not complain about the hardships. Do not curse the difficulties. Instead, embrace them. Ask yourself, what is this challenge teaching me? How is this obstacle shaping me into the kind of person who can sustain success? Understand that everything you go through is preparing you for what you have prayed for. Every battle is making you stronger. Every setback is refining your character. Every test is proving that you are capable of ruling over what you are building. There will be moments when you feel exhausted, when doubt creeps in, when the weight of responsibility feels overwhelming. But remember this, those who endure rule, those who persist rise, the ones who refuse to quit are the ones who stand victorious. Your empire will not be handed to you, it will be forged through fire. The trials you face now are shaping you into the ruler you are destined to become. Embrace them, conquer them, and let them transform you into the kind of person who can build something that lasts beyond your lifetime. The world belongs to those who know how to walk in gratitude before they see the rewards. It is a principle that many overlook because they are waiting for proof before they believe, waiting for results before they celebrate, waiting for success before they feel successful. But this is not how empires are built. The ones who create, who expand, who elevate, understand that gratitude is not just a response to what has already been given, it is the key that unlocks the door to more. The mindset of a builder, a ruler, a creator is one of unwavering appreciation for what already exists, even when it is unseen. Imagine standing before a barren field. There is no evidence of a harvest, no sign of abundance, nothing to suggest that growth is even possible. Most people would look at the emptiness and complain. They would say, there is nothing here. I have nothing to be grateful for. But the one who understands the power of gratitude sees beyond the surface. They look at the empty field and give thanks for the harvest that is already on its way. They speak as if the crops are already blooming, as if the abundance is already present. They walk through the field as if they can see the fruit hanging from the branches. They do not wait for proof, they create the proof with their unwavering gratitude. This is the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck. Those who remain stuck complain about what they lack. They focus on what they do not have, on what has not yet come to pass, on all the reasons why success is impossible. But those who rise understand that their words, their thoughts, their emotions are shaping their reality in ways they cannot yet see. The man who gives thanks for wealth before it arrives will attract opportunities that others overlook. The woman who gives thanks for strength before she feels strong will walk with confidence before she even realizes she has the power to win. The one who speaks in gratitude for success before it manifests will find doors opening that others never knew existed. When you approach life with the mindset that you already have what you desire, you shift your energy entirely. You stop moving from a place of desperation and start moving from a place of assurance. The world recognizes this shift. It can sense when someone is chasing something from a place of lack and it resists them. But when someone moves with gratitude, with certainty, with the attitude that they are already living in their vision, everything aligns to match that energy. The universe does not reward doubt. It does not reward hesitation. It rewards those who live as if they already possess the things they seek. Think about a ruler walking through their kingdom. They do not question whether they have authority. They do not wonder whether the land belongs to them. They move with the confidence of someone who knows deep in their core that this is already theirs. This is the energy you must carry if you are serious about building something great. Stop waiting for proof. Stop waiting for others to acknowledge your vision. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start believing. The moment you express gratitude as if everything is already in place, you unlock doors that hesitation keeps shut. Gratitude is more than just words, it is action. It is how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you think, how you approach every moment of your life. If you truly believe that your empire is already rising, you will not wait until it is complete to give thanks. You will move now as if the foundation is already set, as if the walls are already standing, as if the kingdom is already thriving. The man who waits until he is wealthy to be grateful will never experience true wealth. The woman who waits until she has recognition to feel worthy will never experience true success. But the one who walks in gratitude now before the world sees what they see is the one who will create something unstoppable. Many people struggle with this concept because they have been conditioned to believe that gratitude is a reaction rather than a cause. They think, I will be grateful when my situation improves. But they fail to understand that their situation improves because of their gratitude. They wait for circumstances to shift before they change their mindset, not realizing that their mindset is what causes circumstances to shift. The most powerful individuals in history were not waiting for proof. They were moving in certainty. They were giving thanks before anyone else could see what they saw. They were living in the reality of their vision before it became visible to others. This is the secret that most people never learn. When you walk in gratitude as if your success is already guaranteed, you carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You attract opportunities that others cannot see. You open doors that hesitation keeps locked. You move in alignment with the vision that has already been set for you. The world responds to this energy. It moves in favor of those who move in certainty. It rewards those who refuse to wait for proof before they believe. This is not just about thinking positively. This is about reshaping your entire existence. This is about understanding that you are already walking in divine favor, that the things you desire are not just possible but inevitable if you align yourself with the right mindset. This is about shifting from the energy of lack to the energy of abundance. When you speak and act as if everything you desire is already yours, you begin to see evidence of that reality unfolding around you. Think about the last time you truly felt grateful, not for something that had already happened, but for something that was on its way. Think about the power that moment held. Now imagine living in that state every single day. Imagine waking up and giving thanks for the opportunities that have not yet arrived but are already making their way to you. Imagine speaking about your success as if it is already written, as if it is already unfolding, as if nothing in this world can stop it. This is how rulers think. This is how builders create. This is how empires rise. Gratitude is the foundation, the cement that holds everything together. Without it, even the grandest visions will crumble. With it, even the smallest seed can grow into something beyond imagination. If you want to build something great, start by walking in gratitude as if it is already complete. Speak as if the victory is already yours. Move as if the doors are already open. Live as if you are already standing in the success you desire. Because the moment you do, everything else will begin to align to make it so. Every empire that has ever been built was forged through a relentless pursuit of expansion. No great ruler, no visionary, no creator ever reached a point where they said, "This is enough." The mindset of those who build, those who lead, those who rise above the ordinary is one of continual growth, continual movement, continual elevation. The moment you stop expanding, you begin to decline. The moment you become comfortable with where you are, you surrender the future that was waiting for you. Those who build something lasting understand that there is no final destination, only new levels to conquer, new territories to claim, new visions to bring to life. The greatest enemy of success is not failure, it is stagnation. It is the moment when a person achieves a little bit of progress and decides that they have done enough. They settle for what they have instead of pushing for what they were truly meant to become. They allow comfort to dull their ambition, to make them content with surviving instead of thriving. But survival is not the goal. Expansion is. There is no limit to what you can build, no ceiling on what you can achieve. The only limit is the one you accept. The greatest mistake you can make is to believe that once you have reached a certain point, you no longer need to grow. That mindset is what kills empires before they ever reach their full potential. Think of a tree. If it is not growing, it is dying. There is no in between. The same is true for your life, your business, your influence, your vision. The moment you stop reaching higher, the moment you stop pushing forward, the moment you stop demanding more from yourself, you begin the slow descent into irrelevance. But those who understand the nature of success know that there is always another level. No matter how much you have achieved, no matter how far you have come, there is more waiting for you if you are willing to reach for it. This is why so many people fail to create something lasting. They build just enough to escape struggle, just enough to feel secure, just enough to avoid discomfort. But they do not build for impact. They do not build for legacy. They do not build with the mindset of those who shape history. Those who do rise to greatness are the ones who refuse to settle, who refuse to stop, who refuse to accept anything less than the full manifestation of their vision. They are constantly learning, constantly evolving, constantly adapting. They are never satisfied with what they have already accomplished because they know there is always more within them. When you truly understand this, you begin to see the world differently. You stop thinking in terms of limits and start thinking in terms of expansion. You stop asking, "Have I done enough?" and start asking, "What else can I build?" You stop worrying about maintaining what you have and start focusing on how to multiply it. The rulers of this world, the empire builders, the visionaries, these are the ones who understand that growth is not a phase, it is a way of life. They do not stop once they achieve a goal. They use that goal as a stepping stone for something greater. This does not mean that they are never grateful. Gratitude and ambition are not enemies, they are partners. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is that the successful are grateful for what they have while still striving for more. They appreciate their progress. but they do not let it make them complacent. They celebrate their victories, but they do not allow those victories to keep them from seeking greater ones. They understand that gratitude fuels expansion, it does not replace it. Look around at the people who have stopped growing. They are the ones who once had a fire inside of them, but they let it burn out. They reached a point where they became comfortable, and that comfort became their prison. They stopped challenging themselves, stopped pushing their limits, stopped thinking beyond their current reality. And now, instead of ruling over their circumstances, they have become ruled by them. Instead of controlling their future, they are simply reacting to whatever life throws at them. You must never allow this to happen to you. You must never let a single victory convince you that you have reached the peak of your potential. You must never let comfort replace your hunger for greatness. There is more waiting for you. More wealth, more success, more impact, more purpose. But you must be willing to expand. You must be willing to keep pushing, keep growing, keep reaching for that next level. This is why it is so important to surround yourself with those who are also expanding. If you spend your time with people who are satisfied with mediocrity, their mindset will infect you. If you allow yourself to listen to those who say you've done enough, you will start to believe them. But if you align yourself with those who are always moving forward, always seeking greater heights, always striving for more, you will be pushed to do the same. Your circle must reflect your vision. The people you allow into your life must be those who inspire you to grow, who challenge you to think bigger, who remind you that there is always another level to reach. The truth is, there is no finish line. There is no point at which you can say, I have built enough, I have learned enough, I have achieved enough. The moment you think you are done, you have already begun to decline. But if you can adopt the mindset of constant expansion, if you can commit yourself to lifelong growth, there will be no limit to what you can create. You must make a decision today. Will you be someone who stops when things get comfortable? Or will you be someone who keeps going, who keeps building, who keeps expanding no matter how much success you achieve? The answer to that question will determine the legacy you leave behind. Because the ones who are truly great, the ones who are remembered, the ones who build empires that last, are the ones who never stop expanding. The foundation has been laid, the vision has been declared, and the path to greatness has been revealed. Now the question remains, will you act? Will you move with the certainty of a ruler, the conviction of a builder, the mindset of one who knows they are destined for more? Or will you hesitate, waiting for permission, waiting for validation, waiting for the perfect moment that will never come? Empires are not built by those who wait. They are not built by those who second guess their power. They are built by those who move before they see results, who speak before the world recognizes their voice, who walk in faith long before the evidence appears. Everything you desire, everything you dream of, everything that has been placed in your heart as a vision is waiting for you to claim it. But it will not come to you, you must rise and take it. The world will try to convince you that you are not ready, that you do not have what it takes, that your dreams are too big, too unrealistic, too far beyond your reach. But the world does not determine your future, you do. The greatest mistake you could ever make is to believe the voices that tell you to shrink. Your empire, your success, your influence, your legacy, all of it is already within you. The only thing standing between you and everything you desire is your willingness to act as if it is already yours. Speak your vision into existence. Walk as if you are already victorious. Surround yourself with those who build, not those who destroy. Expand beyond what you once thought possible. Move with gratitude as if your success is already written. And never stop growing. The moment you stop expanding, you begin to fade. But those who rise, those who create, those who leave a mark on this world, these are the ones who refuse to settle. The time is now. No more waiting. No more hesitation. No more looking at others and wondering when it will be your turn. Your turn is now. Your future is already calling. Step into it. Move with the confidence of a ruler. Build with the heart of a creator. Walk with the faith of one who knows that everything they seek is already being prepared for them. You are not just living, you are building an empire. Act like it.